wrestling up for Purdue. So Devin Schroder will be taking over at 133 for the Boilermakers. On the other side, Dylan Duncan, the 20th ranked wrestler in the nation, redshirt freshman, 11-5 on the year. Devin Schroder, also a redshirt freshman, 15-6 on the year from Northville, Michigan.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting match for Devin Schroder, as everyone, I'm sure that's been following Purdue wrestling knows that Devin Schroder is going to be a very easy transition into that 125 spot, the successor for that 125 spot. He has competed very well this year, getting a couple placements at different tournaments. So him wrestling up to 133 should be interesting, but I think he's up for the task against 20th ranked Dylan Duncan.
Purdue in the all-black home singlet, fighting Illini in the road navy blue singlet with the orange stripes by the pant leg. They kind of look a little bit similar maybe on your screens at home, so we'll help you keep track. Purdue will be in green on the ankle band, and on the other side, Illinois will have on the red. As you see an early shot there by Duncan, fought off nicely by Schroder. As both wrestlers continue to hand fight, and you know, we talked on the top of the broadcast how important as Duncan gets the takedown, 2 points for Illinois, how important this match is for both teams, and it's going to be interesting to see who can get off to the early lead and get the early start, because that's just kind of propels your team forward in a winnable match here for both wrestlers.
Yeah, getting off to an early start is getting off to a good start early, I should say, is very important. Obviously, Dylan Duncan coming out here taking a shot, getting the first takedown of the day. They've come out here to wrestle.
As you see on your screen here, the Fighting Illini bench in the background, something we were talking about in the broadcast to begin with. Here in Holloway Gymnasium, both teams sit on the bench to watch their wrestlers. I know Purdue was at Penn State, and they normally stay in the locker room in between matches, so kind of a different atmosphere and vibe for the Boilermakers coming back home and getting used to what they've always done.
Yeah, getting a chance to talk to Coach Ursuline last week about going to Penn State. It's just a whole different arena when you go there. It's everyone's back in the locker room. They've got the spotlight. They've got the music. So it's a whole different atmosphere than coming back here at home. But I'm sure this Purdue team would prefer against the home crowd versus going into a place like Penn State.
Dylan Duncan went for the tilt there and was unable to roll through it, so Schroder was able to escape out to get his first point of the match. He now cuts the lead in half 2-1 as both wrestlers here try to get their legs free and get around the backside. Schroder's got a good hold. He's going to try to keep that hold. He's unable to, so Duncan is going to get another 2 points to extend his lead to 4-1. As you see him now working on that right leg and trying to work his way up the body. Schroder out there likes to have those wrist tape for a little extra stability around his thumbs. Kind of a different approach that we're going to see out of him today.
And this is a very interesting match for Purdue, and the choice by Coach Tony Ursuline. Ben Thornton out sick this morning. Seems to going around the coaching staff a little bit. A flu bug maybe that's going around that hopefully won't end up in the rest of the roster. But Devin Schroder having to bump up to the 133 is a very interesting decision that had to have been made. You can't afford to take a forfeit in that spot, so you have to bump somebody up. And bumping up a 125 guy, I mean, 8 pounds doesn't seem like a lot to someone who doesn't wrestle, but if that 8 pounds makes a big difference in physical stature and their ability. So we'll see if Devin Schroder has the ability to fight that off, that extra 8 pounds off.
We get through the first period. It's 4-1 in favor of Duncan. Schroder came in he weighed in this morning at 126.3, so he was just above the 125, and that is why he made that jump to 133. And you talked about the flu bug. I think it's going through the entire Big Ten, as we saw on Friday. Both wrestlers at 125 for Penn State were out sick, and that's how we got that forfeit win to start the match. And just something that, you know, when you're around these guys constantly and, you know, sharing water bottles and wrestling on these mats, it's easy for a sickness to get passed around like that.
Yeah, I'm sure Ben Thornton will be quarantined by the coaching staff to make sure that it doesn't get passed around to anybody else.
You see Duncan starting on bottom here, Schroder on top. Is he trying to keep that grasp? As he went for the tilt there, and he had it for just a second, not long enough to get a count.
He's got to be careful here because he doesn't have his hands. That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. He doesn't have his hands grasped, and he's rocking back. If Duncan was able to flip around, which he just did, I mean, Schroder was already on his back. So very tough position that he put himself in and ended up getting the reversal put on him.
So Duncan is back on top and adding to his riding time here as it's now approaching 2 minutes in the second period. So a pretty sizable advantage so far for him.
referee is going to be asking to see something out of Devin Schroder here. So it looks like he's just fighting off Duncan rather than trying to go for the escape or a reversal.
See Duncan now trying to go for the tilt. He's got his legs wrapped around the left leg of Schroder. He's trying to get his arm back to grab that leg. He's unable to do so. Look for Schroder here to try to get his arms free and get some back pressure as we have a stalemate. So referee's going to take him back to the middle.
Kind of looked like Duncan maybe going for a bow and arrow there a little bit as he was starting to tilt him over, maybe trying to reach back and get that left leg of Schroder. So maybe something to look for to him doing next time he gets him in that position.
Not one of the easiest moves to execute, is it?
It's not an easy move to execute, but it is very effective. When you get someone's leg bent back like that and almost underneath them, there's not a lot they can do. There's really no point of advantage there that you can work into.
Schroder here now back trying to get to his base and get out before the end of the period. He's going to be unable to do so. So a strong period there by Duncan to get the reversal and to add to his lead. So he's going to take the 6-1 advantage into the third, and we're going to start straight up here for the third period. As we mentioned, Duncan coming ranked 20th in the nation by Flow Mat Wrestling. Shot there by Schroder, fought off real nice, and Duncan's going to turn that into some offense. He's unable to get the advantage, and there it is. So 2-point takedown Duncan. He extends his lead 8-1, and Schroder's going to need to get out and get some offense here quick, or else it's going to get out of hand.
Yeah, he's definitely looking for the major decision here. Unless he's able to get some back points, tech fall's really out of question, but the major is definitely on his mind. Getting some of those bonus points early on is very important. As Coach Tony Ursuline talked last week, that was the difference in the Nebraska match, was the bonus points. They split weights 5-5 with Nebraska, but those bonus points in some of the later matches is what ended up giving the 20-15 result that they ended up with at Nebraska. So I don't think they want to run into the same thing here where you split matches, but bonus points just really screws you over.
Yep. Another takedown there for Duncan. He let Schroder up and then took him down again. So doing exactly what you think with the major decision on the line, stalling penalty against Schroder. So another point there for Duncan, increasing his lead to 11-2.
It'll be at the end of this 30 seconds, it'll be 12-2 as he's racked up almost 4 minutes of riding time.
Pretty dominant performance here for the Fighting Illini to get this match underway at 133. That's where we started today. So it will be 141 next, and it'll be 17th ranked Nate Limix taking on Mike Carr of Illinois. And with that, the match comes to an end. So it is Dylan Duncan, the 20th ranked wrestler for Illinois, taking the win 11-2 over Devin Schroder of the Boilermakers. Duncan moves his record to 12-5 on the year. Schroder falls to 15-7. Tough match for Devin, wrestling up to 133. He gave it a good fight, but was unable to really score any points.